So let us start with what is called organizational citizenship behavior. And whatever the topics that I am dealing with now will not be found in most of the OB textbooks, even internationally. But these are very, very important and sort of trends. These are all trending topics in organizational behavior. So you would know what are the latest things, though you may not find a lot of literature in the textbooks, but you can definitely find plenty of information on the internet. You can try through Google Scholar, you can try to researchgate.net. There are many other places freely you can get information on these topics. So let us start with now. In the previous discussions, we had seen the concept of behaviors at individual level and also at group level. But now, as we are moving towards the fag end of this course, we are looking at behavior at overall organizational level, at the higher levels. That's why these topics are a little complicated and a little higher understanding is needed. So, if you're at the top echelons of the management, how would you address these topics and utilize them for productivity? Because ultimately, OB should help us in improving the productivity and the profitability of the organization. So, it first modifies the behaviors of the employees, and then such behaviors are contributing towards productivity and eventually making our nation successful. So, what is this concept called OCB? Now, when you look at the second word called citizenship, then you would have definitely got some clue as to what is this word all about. Citizenship, and then you have a feeling for being a citizenship for this country, and therefore, what is expected from citizens. If you can get a clue, you will be closer to this understanding of the concept. So, let us see what is this behavior. It is expressed as or defined as willingness. So the first word is called willingness. And then the second aspect of this definition is willingness to exert efforts. Willingness to exert, that means you're expending efforts beyond the formal obligations dictated by positions. So, what does it mean? Your willingness to work beyond the requirements of the office, or you're willing to put more efforts than you're expected by your office. That's the simple understanding of what is called citizenship behavior. Why? Because this organization has given you a job and therefore it's part of your country. So therefore you have this willingness to contribute more. Does that really happen in the reality? Because most of us are very, very calculative. We might not like to work beyond 5 o'clock. I have seen in many workplaces in my own organizations, people sharp pack up their bags 4:30 when we are supposed to leave by 5 o'clock. And more often, I've noticed that the bus driver waiting for me because I am already late. I feel that I am late to the bus as guilty because rest of all are ready to go home. I'm coming sharp 5 o'clock because 5 o'clock am I supposed to be in the bus or am I supposed to leave the office room? So nobody argues with me on that front because the entire bus is guilty because they're already in the bus before 5 o'clock, whereas I am exactly dot 5 or 5. So you can understand people who are guilty are always you know they hate someone who is very prompt. That's the problem with this concept. So you are willing to put more efforts beyond the formal requirements, which all people may not be. But what if all people are willing to put efforts beyond the formal requirements of their duties? I think that's an interesting contribution to business performance. And such willingness or such behavior is called organizational citizenship behavior. So very, very interesting. You can see Daniel Katz, one of the oldest OB professors, for writing a book called The Social Psychology of Our Nations back in 1965, the oldest of all the books, in which he talks about employees willingly contribute extra efforts. But people may say that I'm supposed to work for 8 hours only because I'm paid only for 8 hours. Why should I work extra hours? But if they're willing to contribute extra efforts for the attainment of the business goals or the business outcomes, that's what we understand as OCB. Now, what contributes to OCB? For example, why should I stay back beyond 5 o'clock? Why should I overstay in the workplace, finish it, and go home when everybody is enjoying leaving early? It's because there are various factors which contribute to OCB. Number one, you may also call them antecedents of OB. Number one, job satisfaction that you derive from your workplace. So, because your work is contributing to your satisfaction, you are willing to put more efforts. Not only that, you are more committed to your organization, and as a result, you think that it is your organization, therefore, you are willing to exert more efforts. Then, your roles, you think that you perceive that your role is very, very important in this organization, and therefore, you are contributing more to OCB. Not only that, your leadership and followers' behavior, members' behaviors. LMX refers to leader member exchange. Leadership behavior and leader member exchange behaviors are very, very favorable and friendly, and therefore, members are willing to contribute to the business goals. So, that's also contributed to their citizenship behaviors. Then, there is fairness in my organization, and as such, I am willing to put extra efforts. Finally, your personality, individual dispositions refer to your personality. So, if your personality is very friendly, very proactive, and then you're also open, contributing, collaborating, therefore, you're contributing to the business outcomes because of your personality. And as a result, your OCB is expressed. Similarly, there are various motivation theories we had seen in the past could also contribute to your citizenship behaviors. Like, for example, if you have very meaningful work your boss has assigned to you, so naturally you're willing to work for more longer hours. Finally, there is another interesting antecedent called the age itself. Your age itself might be forcing you to express citizenship behaviors because you're getting old, so you don't want to risk, and as such you express your citizenship behavior. Now internationally, there are very interesting dimensions which are acceptable of citizenship behavior. Now what could be those? There are quite a lot of them. So what could be those? Here you could see six of them. First one is called citizenship behavior, virtue, civic virtue, sorry. The first one is called civic virtue. Second one is called altruism. Third one, conscientiousness. Fourth one, interpersonal harmony. Fifth one, sportsmanship. And the sixth one is courtesy. So these are by default understood as universal dimensions or facets of OCB. So if you have more civic virtue, if you are more altruistic, if you are more conscientious, if you are having interpersonal harmony with others, if you are like a sportsman, and if you are very courteous, you are considered to be citizenship, or you are expressing citizenship behavior. What is civic virtue? It's a willingness to stand up to protect the reputation of your company. Like for example, if anybody is speaking bad about your hospital in outside of your hospital, you will not be silent. You will try to correct them. You would say that you are wrong, your perception is wrong, you don't know anything about that hospital. As an outsider you are speaking, but I know what's happening inside. I can prove it, I have evidences. That's what we call your civic virtue. Then you're eager to tell outsiders good news about what's happening in your company. So if you have such eagerness to tell the good things about your company, you have civic virtue. You will also make constructive suggestions to your management to improve the operations of the company, and you are very actively attending all the meetings, in which case civic virtue is expressed by you. In other words, you are actively contributing to various aspects of your business organization. There's also another alternative understanding. For example, you are actively contributing, but your management is not respecting those things. Eventually, what happens? You will slow down on your civic virtue, and therefore your citizenship behavior also fades away. In the beginning, many people contribute more, but when there is no response, when there is no recognition and appreciation from the management, they gradually fade away. In our country, this is our problem. Honestly, we don't have great feeling for this country. We are all divided even today, like we were divided before. We are also divided today, and we will always be divided. Before independence, also we were divided. All counties, all there are various kings. There's not a single king who ruled this entire country historically. It's all small, small kingdoms. Therefore, we were divided before independence. We are also divided after independence. Though the Britishers have given us a name for us, the name India is not historically known. In the year 1947, they gave this name to this country. If you go by the dictionary, you will never find any meaning to this word, India. The full form of it stands Independent Nation Declared in the month of August. That's the name of this country. When quite a lot of people leaving this country, all intelligent people, high IQ people are all leaving this country. And all that leftover people who are not so intelligent, I'm not generalizing that fact, there are some exceptions. Some intelligent people are there still in this country, but large masses of intelligent people have made exodus either to US, UK, Europe, or other parts of the world. All intelligent people have left this country. Does that mean that they are not patriotic in the sense? So, therefore, civic virtue gradually fades away in a country like ours. That's why we don't have a feeling for this nation. It doesn't happen, I'm sure. Even with Mr. Narendra Modi, it doesn't happen. He's struggling to do that. It doesn't happen. It's because basically we're divided in the name of language, religion, communities, and so on. So nobody can unite us. I would only say God only knows how it happens. So, civic virtue is another important concept, and then altruism. Altruism means opposite to egoism. So, egoist is self centered, he is willing only to help himself, everything he wants because he's greedy. Whereas altruism is opposite to that, is willing to assist new colleagues, willing to help colleagues, always willing to help others in all their works, willing to give wholeheartedly the communication or information, willing to support colleagues in their works or assignments, are willing to help colleagues solve their problems. So it's all willingness to help others is called altruism. Not willing to help others is called egoism. Now, conscientiousness is an interesting word which we had seen already in Big Five personality. One of the personality qualities is called conscientiousness. Uh, that means you're very systematic, very detailed, very rule based. You will follow guidelines. That's your personality. So all those who are conscientious, they comply with the company rules and procedures even if nobody is watching, and they'll take their job very seriously and very rarely make mistakes. I am very high on this personality quality. Yeah, I make mistakes. I made mistakes, but very rarely I do that. But I take my job very, very seriously. And then, even if I'm not recognized or appreciated, I would still take my job seriously because there is someone else who is benefiting from that job ultimately. So I don't mind taking on new challenging assignments. In fact, I've tried very, very unusual tasks in my previous workplace where nobody has tried before those kind of challenges. And yes, I'm a self-made man because I study. I didn't know who taught me the subjects because I come from a government college where there was recruitment ban, and there was nobody to teach me the subjects. We used to go fight, shout, demand for conducted strikes also, but there was no hope because government college principal would say that what can I do when government is not sanctioning the posts. So finally, somehow we studied on our own. We finished our studies. We came out, and then that's it. It's more than 30 years. We often arrive early and we start work immediately. We don't take coffee, read newspapers, go around chit chatting people. So, conscientious people are very, very focused, systematic, and devotional, duty driven. Now, interpersonal harmony. This is another interesting concept. You are not causing any harm to anybody, and you don't use illegal tactics to seek personal influence and gain by using a kind of harmful harm to the others. So you are not like attacking people. You don't have any selfish personal gains. You don't take credit, and then you don't blame, or you don't fight for personal gains. Very difficult. When people don't appreciate you, you will fight for your personal gains. But people who want interpersonal harmony, they will not. They don't speak ill about anybody in the workplace, and they protect the company's resources, and they don't have personal business in their workplace. They use company time only for company's work, and they use company resources only to do company's work, not their personal. So they don't have excuses to use sick leave. Some people unnecessarily claim sick leave by presenting a medical certificate. That's what those who do not have citizenship behaviors are known for, such kind of behaviors. Now, sportsmanship is a very interesting dimension. Why? What would you do? What would you notice in those brackets? It's in certain countries those dimensions are very important. For example, sportsmanship is important in USA. So here also it's avoiding harm. So you don't want to harm anybody because you are more citizenry in nature. So you avoid consuming a lot of time complaining about uh, trifles. Then you avoid making mountains out of molehills, make problems bigger than they are. Then you avoid focusing on what's wrong with his or her situation rather than the positive side of it. So you're willing to help people. That's another aspect. And then courtesy. That's the last one. So you're very respectable. You always respect others. So avoid hurting other people's rights. You take actions. You avoid taking actions that hurts others. You do not initiate actions before consulting with others that might be affecting others, and you try to avoid creating problems for colleagues. So you're always friendly, courteous to the others. So I'm sure you could understand how all these dimensions in your personality can make you citizenship in nature. So that's how we basically define. So if you go back once again, it's like willingness to contribute extra efforts to attain business outcomes, or willingness to put more efforts beyond the official requirements. Your job description may say you're supposed to do this, do that, but you're doing more than that. That's what we call citizenship behavior.